Hi guys, welcome to Robin Hood Diaries today. As always, I'm glad you could join me. Uh, Highlight of my day, right? I say that all the time. So let's get into it. So this is not like a 20-minute show. I guess whatever, I previewed it, whatever, I'll tell you. I guess it's kind of half cautionary tale for prospective adopters, and it's half kind of, I don't know, moderately fascinating factoids about adoption, but more so about the terror of the adoption facilitators. So again, we'll just jump right in. So you jump into the adoption process. You start at least we did start from the ground up, like passing out flyers practically, just to see what kind of feedback we get. One of the recommendations that really people need to take a forethought about is to hire adoption facilitators. Now, this is not the social workers that help you go through all the stuff that you need to go through. I'm happy y'all have kids, but with us, we had to go through federal checks, live scans. We were required to do courses. We had to do peer classes, parenting classes, of course, background checks, and then we had to have multiple visits with the social worker once the adoption happened. Then we had to go to the supervisor social worker to do kind of round up how things are happening after we already had him. Remember, the technical adoption by the judge doesn't happen for a year after the initial sort of guardianship, temporary parentship. So when you see adoption pictures or whatever for Logan, we didn't get, like a 1-year-old. His birth mother was with us for at least 6 weeks in our apartment before she delivered. So in this process, like I said, it was recommended, among other things, like certain agencies will also kind of do like a hybrid facilitation / kind of authorization, pseudo social worker, whatever. We went to a couple of those orientations. One was completely Christian based, others, one other, I don't know. So that was a no-go. Now, eventually we get hooked up with where you should start, which is a place, I'm not gonna say orphanage or anything like that, but it's a place that specializes in perhaps fostered kids that are not currently in foster care, a lot of child protective programs and things like that. Ours was called Mar Vista, but there are other places like that. You want to get in touch with a social worker at one of these places before you do anything. Pick one or two. Contact the office, tell them what program deals with adoption. They'll put you right through to a social worker. Social worker will tell you what your options are, and you will have to do a lot of pursuing, and they sort of kind of wait for you to kind of do the things you need to do. You have to choose whether you want a public adoption, which is just basically kind of through the government, through the county. And that's a whole process because we wanted a newborn. That was just our preference. It wasn't for any like raising a certain way, God forbid, like that kind of like breeding, what will come with that. That was our higher preference to have a newborn. Not, pre-delivery necessarily or anything, but I don't know. Let's say younger than a year or 6 months, preferably. So that being said, we pursued these adoption facilitators. Again, big mistake, because we had just sort of woven ourselves into the social work program, which kind of slowly develops your progress of what you need to do, and a lot of that is obviously prospective parents. That's the snag. I don't want to put it that way, but you just have to basically wait around for prospective parents to present themselves to one of these agencies or programs that there is an adoption interest, connecting the mom with you, and then triaging with the social work situation. That's the way to do it. The backup thing, if you can afford it, is you locate a reputable adoption attorney. Now, the adoption attorney that handled our adoption was he was basically the only LGBTQ lawyer that specialized in, those us kind of parents. God love them. Very expensive.